So on your formula sheet, let's put 107 at the top of this. We will basically take this out, kind of like when we did our quadrilateral family paper, how we kind of added a little bit to it each day. We'll reference back to this a little bit each day. So we're doing two things on this paper today. The first thing we're going to talk about is central angles. So central angles are angles that are created by two radiuses. Radiuses is not a word. Plural radiuses or plural radius is radii. So if you have two radiuses, two radii that go from the center out, it basically makes an arc measure. So if I say the measure of angle ABC, so angle ABC is like 70 degrees just because I choose it. Okay, so if I know that that's 70 degrees, which is really bad, that should not be 70 degrees. It's more than 70 degrees, whatever. Okay, so if I know it's 70 degrees, the arc to that is also, so the arc, notice it's a curve. The arc means it's the outside of the circle, is also congruent to it. So if I knew this was 70 degrees, that would also be 70 degrees automatically. Okay. The other formula that we're going to work with today is arc length. So arc length is literally the length of the arc. So if you have a pizza crust, okay, and you eat the pizza and you just have the crust left, to figure out how long your crust is, because it's got a slight curve to it, you would have to use this formula. So the other formula that you could use is x times c divided by 360. Sometimes it's written like that. 360 is because it's a circle. The c is 2 pi r, which is circumference, which is what we did on Friday. Circumference is also right here. So 2 pi, oh crap, 2 pi r is c. So it's x times 2 pi r divided by 360. So let's get to today's step. You're going to like today's way better than Friday. So on today's paper, put 108. Yeah, this is 108. So a central angle is an angle with a vertex at the center of the circle. The two sides are radiuses, which is radii. So two eyes, radii. The sum of the central angles in a circle equal how much? How much does a circle make? 360. Okay. So an example of a central angle would be like the measure of angle ABC. C is the center, so it goes in, back out, is equal to 84 degrees. The arc that's formed by that angle is called your like minor arc or major arc, depending on the size of it. And this is congruent to the actual angle inside, to the central angle. So a minor arc uses 2 letters, a major arc uses 3 letters. Minor arc is less than 180. Major arc is less than 360, like bigger than 180, less than 360. So for AC, how much is going to be the arc of AC? 84, because it matches. Okay, so if I know that arc is 84, now I need to find the arc ADC. If I look at my picture, ADC is this. I go from A to D all the way around to C. So how could I find that? 360 minus 84, because the rest of the circle is what's shown. So how much is that going to be? 276. So major is more than 180, less than 360. Minor is between 0 and 180. So let's go to number 2. Numero dos. So I have some numbers. I would look at just the circle first. I wouldn't look at all this craziness because I think it's overwhelming. So if I'm just looking at my circle, I'm going to fill in every single spot and then I'm going to go back and fill in the answers. So I have 87. I have 72. Where else can 72 go? Technically UV across. 72 can go here. Where else technically can 72 go? In the angle. So it can literally go also here and here. But that, because it's the first problem, I'm going to write it there. But you're normally not gonna write it there because then it just is overwhelming. So 72, if it's on the outside, is also on the inside. Vertical angles are congruent. Opposite angles are also congruent, okay? So if I start writing that everywhere, it's just gonna be like a hot mess. So I'm just gonna kind of write it once. Inside matches the outside. So 87 obviously can go here. I'm not gonna write it though. How could I find this big slice of pizza pie? Okay, so if I want to find ST first, let's say I want to find ST. Ah, okay, so you could look at it like two different ways. If I look at it this way, this is a straight line. A straight line, just like in chapter 2, makes 180. So if this is 72, this is 87, how much is that pizza pie? What? Yes, so how much is left over? 101. So 21 could go here, okay? Because they add to make 180. So 72 plus 87 plus something needs to make 180. That's 21. So how could I find this big pizza pie? Okay, because vertical angles are congruent. So 21 plus 87, how much does that make? 108. You could also like look at it this way. That also makes 180. So you could take 180 and minus 72. There's like 20 different ways to do these. Okay, so it's just however you're thinking. The goal is a circle makes 360. Half of a circle is 180. Vertical angles are congruent. So you're just kind of like moving things around. So what is the measure of angle UXV? Seven to 2. How much is the arc measure of ST? 21. What's the arc measure of WB? 108. What about TW? 93, because you're adding these together. So T to W is going to be 93. And then this is the ones that you're going to mess up on. This is a big one. You're going from T to V to W. So it's including everything it's passing. So you can go two ways. You have to be careful. So if I start at T and I'm going to V and I have to end at W, if I go this way, V and then W, I would have to go backwards. You can't go backwards. So I'd have to go this way, T, V, and at W. So it's everything but this section. So if I add 87, 72, and 108, what do I get? Plus 72 plus 108 is what? 200, no, 267. Okay, try number 1. Start by moving around your numbers. You're thinking a circle makes 360, half of a circle makes 180. Vertical angles are congruent. It's like a puzzle. Yeah.
It'd help a lot if I went to
What? No, that's not gonna help at all. That's from Friday. That's like completely different.
So we're doing number 1.
Yeah. So move 21, where else it can go? It's the piece of pie. The last one is wrong. Yeah, so 21 can go,
Yeah.
right? You're saying 21 can go here? Yes, and they match. So what's my one other missing number? 159 goes here, 159 goes here. Okay. You should have got that far. Hopefully. How much is arc JK? What? 21. What's the angle of JNM? 159. What's the arc of KL? 159. And then you have major arc. So these are the tricky ones. You're starting at J, you have to go to K and then end at M. So I can't go this way because then I'd have to go backwards. So I'm going this way. So it's everything but 159. So it's like 21 plus 159 plus 21, which is what? 201. Yeah,
I got it.
not too bad. Do we like this better than Fridays?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to number 3. We're gonna cross out number 4. So try number 3. Same concept. Remember the square is automatically 90. Because it's a right angle, so 90 degrees is automatically in that corner.
Wait, so it's 34 is like, so E and G, right? E and F is not half, it's smaller.
Yeah. But that corner is a vertical angle to the square.
Yeah.
So this total needs to make 90. So 34 plus something makes 90, because that's vertical angles to 90.
The 34 is outside, but that also means that that's the inside.
Yes,
That's all. It was kind of.
because like if this is 90. That's also 90. Because it's a vertical angle
Is
together.
Other side.
is the nature arc of this house, GFD money.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but that's not the word. Because G.
Oh, you're.
Come up here. Harley, we need to finish your test.
Yeah. You. That makes me scared. So you do the
I,
34.
normally I would say like, for like, you said, minutes to get in, but, and then I don't put in everybody's grades until they're every year. Unless like people need to finish, because then it's like, if I put in your grade, well, Lucy finished before you, and then Lucy's like, all right, great, right. So like, I grade them all. And I'm like,
Why they're in grade?
that's a trick.
Is that your credit? Okay, because I.
Okay, so if you have CD, which is how much? 90. How much is F to D? 124, because this is also 90. And if I take 34 and I add 90, that makes 124. Okay, then you have GDF, which is starts at G, goes to D, and ends at F. 300 and what? 304. Okay, because this is 90, this is 90, this is technically 90. How much was this little piece of pizza that wasn't there? 56. Okay. So let's go down to number 5. These are solving for X. So you're writing an equation. Okay. So like you're not necessarily adding to make 360 or 180. Sometimes they're going to be equal. Sometimes they will make 360, but you're solving for X. So your goal is you're going to have an equal sign somewhere and you need to make an equation. So if I know that this is 15x minus 26, this is 26, what do you want to do? There's like 27 different ways to do this. Add them to make 180. You could do that. You could also move 26 here. You could move this over here and add to make 360 because a whole circle makes 360. But if you know that this is a straight line and it's half of the circle in total, the whole thing has to make 180. So I'm going to add to make 180. Easy, easy. Then your 26s really just cancel each other out. So what's X? Whales. Okay, let's go to number 6. Once again, take a second, think, look at what we got. How is it? Because if you combine 26 and 26, I mean 0, because it's negative 26 plus 26. So you're just dividing 180 by 50.
Yeah.
Okay, look. So these cancel because that makes 0.
And even on plus 26.
Because you're adding them together to make 180. Because half of a circle together makes 180. So together adding. And then I would just divide, get 12. Okay, does anybody think there's like, once again, same thing, there's like 12 different ways to do this? Anybody have any ideas? These are like puzzle pieces. You can't add, oh, okay, so like, are you saying like with the 103 maybe? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, you could find the missing angles. Okay, so if I know that the whole thing makes, or half of it makes 180, that's 103. How much is the missing piece? Which makes this 77. Okay, you could do that. It's not necessary. What could I do now? You don't have to do that. Did you come up with an easier way? Yeah. So you could now, now that you have all these pieces, you could add to make 360 because it makes a whole circle. You could also add technically half of it to make 180. You don't have to use both pieces. Or you could say that this piece is a vertical angle to these two combined. So most people are going to do this, I would think. Because vertical angles are congruent. So if I know 77 matches with 77, I don't even really need the 77s. The other pieces are just equal to each other. So 18x, negative 2 plus 15 is 13. So if I minus 13 and I divide by 18, what do I end up getting for x? 5. Okay, let's cross out number 7. Let's cross out number 8. Let's go to number 9. How did I what?
Cross that over side.
Yeah. Let's cross out number 8. Let's go to number 9. 7 and 8. Let's skip 7 and 8. Let's go to 9. Okay. What can we do for number 9? Can I make 180 anywhere? No, because there is no diameters. So if you look at all these lines, none of them I can cover up to make a straight line. They're all slightly off. So I cannot add to make 180. So I'm gonna have to add to make 360. Okay, so I could write a really massive equation, or like when we did those crazy sided shapes, I can just combine terms right now. So if I combine my x's, I have 8x, 21x, 10x. How many x's in total would that make? 39x. I'm going to do the same thing with the numbers. Don't forget your square. You have to include that. That's 90. So if I do negative 12 plus 9 plus 90, 87. And how much is it going to equal to in total? 360.
Oh, okay, not my phone. Yeah. Okay.
We have a calculator.
Yeah, because it's.
We even grabbed the one.
Oh, the other sibling, the other sibling was dead too.
Claire, grab that calculator.
But yeah, we made the master hunter.
I used to have a turtle. Nate, I had two turtles. And they were Donatello and Leonardo.
Oh, wait, that was the thing on your store?
And my husband got really mad because I let them go in a lake. And he still brings it up to this day.
Do you have any animal?
Yeah. I have like a dog. He's like a, I don't even know what he is. He's like a mixed breed.
Oh my god,
Okay, so if X is 7, X is 7, I have to find WX. So if I plug this back in, X is 7, 21 times 7 minus 12 gives me how much? 135. If I need to find Y to W, Y to W is this whole piece. I already know this is 90. If I do 8 times 7, how much is that? 56. So if I add them together, 146. Okay, and then I need Y to X, 79. The last one's the hardest because it's going all the way around. So you have VXW. So VXW. So everything but that little slice of pie, 56. So how much is that last one? 304. Okay. The next section is the arc length. We're only doing the first two. That way you guys can get going on like the classwork section. So we're only doing 10 and 11. We're not doing number 8. So we skipped on the front. We skipped 4. We skipped 7. We skipped 8. And we're going to skip 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so let's do the last two.
This one?
On the one that we're on.
No, like.
No. We're not there yet. Okay, arc length is on the formula sheet. What you're doing is you're doing X times C, which is circumference, divide by 360. Circumference is 2 pi r. So where it says circumference, we're going to say 2 times pi times r, okay? X is what you're actually trying to find. That's like the angle that we're using. We're divided by 360 because it's a circle. So if I do number 10, it says find each arc length. So if I ate my piece of pizza and all I had was the crust left over and I wanted to know the length of the crust before I ate it, you could take out this formula and you could find the length of your crust. You can't use a ruler because it has a slight curve to it because it's a circle, okay? So if EB is 15, that's my radius. So I'm going to use this formula. I have to find the length of CD. So I want to know this piece right here. So how can I find, first off, the measure of that arc? I'm not. Good, because half of the circle makes 180. So how much is this piece? 112. So I'm going to do 112 multiplied by 2 times pi times my radius. Divide by 360. This looks super crazy. You're just typing into the calculator. So in the calculator first, let's do 112 times 2 times pi. Remember from Friday, where's pi? EXP. So this button down here. So times pi times 15. I'm going to press equals to make sure it all multiplies together. And then I'm dividing by 360. So 29.32. If you read the directions, it says round to the nearest hundredth. So we're doing 2 decimal places today. Did you get like 10,000 something?
There's 46.6.
Okay, clear it out. Let's do it again. So 112 times 2 times pi times 15 press equal. You should get like 10,555. Okay, let's do it again. 112 times 2. Get 224 times pi, which is exp, times 15. Press equals 10,555. Now divide by 316. Yeah. Okay, let's do it again. So number 11, last one we're gonna do. N to R is 8. So that's my radius. Sometimes they will give you the diameter. If you're given the diameter, you do have to cut it in half. This one, I have my radius, so R is 8. I need to find the length of NMP. So if I start at N, I go to M, I end at P. First thing I need to do is find that arc, like angle measure. So if this is 162, how can I find these skinny pieces? Good. So if I subtract from 180, how much is that small piece of pie? 18. So this is 18. This is 18. So if I add 18, 18, 162 together, how much is that big arc? Not 180. 198. So we're using 198 times 2 times 5 times my radius, which is 8, divided by 360. So take a second in your calculator, see if you can do it in the calculator. 198 times 2 times pi times 8 is equal. Divide by 360. Yeah. Yep. What do we got? Huh? 27.65. Okay, it's 646. So since it's 646, that 6 makes the 4 go up to a 5. Yeah, but we're running to the nearest hundredth. So we're doing 2 decimal places. Okay, let's go to the back. You want to know which ones you're skipping? Okay, on the back. So you're skipping the rest of the ones on the front. You don't have to do those. Everything we skipped on the front, that's like, just skip, it's fine.
I'll thank you.
Okay, on the back, you can cross out 3 and 4. You can cross out 13 and 14. 1 and 2 will take the longest. Okay. Once you get past 1 and 2, like it's just making an equation and solving. Most of the time it's going to be a 2-step equation. So once you get past 1 and 2, it shouldn't be that bad. Let me know if you get stuck. I'm going to be trying to grade test. So if you need help or if you want to check your answers, let me know.
Is D not here?
BE is the same as G. So you can move 104 to the other side. Yeah.
80 bomb.
I don't understand any of that or the. I don't remember doing that.
It's laws of sines, which are
The like step inside